Alright, so we're back to try and figure out what the deal is with Tardy cart. So we represented all of this graphically. Now we're going to try and figure out, we're going to try and re-represent this northeast direction with this 45-degree angle as so many steps north and then so many steps east. Because that's a lot easier to calculate when you're dealing with vectors. What we know is that this is an isosceles right triangle because the angles are 45, 45, and 90. So we know that these two sides have to be equal, and this is equal to 30 steps. Now by using the Pythagorean theorem, which is that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, we can rearrange this to simply say that, we know that, that a is equal to b. We can rearrange this to say that c squared is equal to 2a squared, and then we can just take the square root of both sides to get square root of 30 squared over 2 is equal to a. No, sorry. My bad. Did that a little wrong. 30 squared over 2, square root of that is equal to a. So by going over to our calculator here, we can say 30 squared divided by 2, square root of that. So this a is equal to b. Can't see this. So we know that a is equal to 21.2. We'll just call it 21. Anyway, 21. So we know that instead of going 30 steps northeast, essentially what we've done is go, instead of going like this, you can say instead what we've done is go 21 steps this way and 21 steps this way. Now this is much easier to calculate. Now essentially essentially all you have to do is you just have to add up these various things. We know we've got 93 steps north, and then plus another 21 steps north, plus 21 steps east, plus 12 steps south, plus 20 steps east, and you end up at the Tardy cart. Now we know that north and south are opposites of each other, so essentially this can be written as going 21 plus 93 minus 12 to figure out how many steps north you've gone, and just using our calculator again. You say this is equal to 102 steps north. Alright? 102 steps north. Alright, and then of course we've gone 21 plus 20, 41 steps east. So your resultant, again, we're going to form another right triangle and we'll be able to figure out our resultant. So I'm going to just clear this up a little bit and then we'll be able to figure out our resultant. Alright, so from starting at Mr. McNeil's room, going to the Tardy cart, we have traveled, this is absolutely not the scale, but 41 steps east, and then 102 steps north. Alright, so our resultant, this is our 90-degree angle. So again, we're just going to go back to the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to try and figure out what the resultant is. So we just do 102 squared plus 1 squared, all that, equals some r. So our resultant,
by the way, if you haven't heard, G4 is explosions.
Really just announced G4, apparently it's explosions, that's cool. Sorry for the interruption. Alright, so let's see. So we're just doing this calculation here. And then we find the square root of that. And you can see this is our resultant here, basically 110 steps. So that's our resultant. R is equal to 110 steps. That's shoot, I wrote that where you guys can't see it, sorry. Resultant is equal to 110. Alright, that's great. So we've got our resultant, that's enough to create a scalar, but we're trying to create a vector here. We can't just kind of say, well, your resultant is 110 steps kind of in that direction. So instead what we want to do is try and figure out what angle this is here to go from 206 going to clear this up a little bit more.
So you could do radiation in biology.
Alright, so we got your angle here, we'll call it angle x, and we're trying to figure out what the measure of angle x is. Now what we do know, however, is that the tangent is equal to opposite over adjacent, which means that in this case, the tangent of x is equal to 102 over 41. Alright? And now simply by plugging this into our calculator, we can figure out what the measure of angle x is.
I learned how to break units.
Alright, so by figuring all that out, using our calculator, we have figured out that the measure of angle x is 68.1 degrees. So you know that in the end, what you're left with is vector r, is the resultant vector, vector r, taking you from Mr. McNeil's room to the Tardy cart is 68.1 degrees, 110 is basically 110 steps at 68.1 degrees. I don't know. So this is your resultant here, 110 steps at 68.1 degrees. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all learned a lot about vectors and can now figure out the vector from your rooms to the Tardy cart. Thank you.